So family, welcome to Mandate, where we talk about men stuff and nothing is off the table.
And cut. We're done. Oh, wow.
Mandate.
Malopas, it's been a while. I know we're still going to be talking about our episode, talking about relationships, but be good to sort of check in from our last conversation. Like, is there anything that sort of we took away or applied, or are we still processing anything? Yeah, it'll be cool just to check in, see how you guys been doing since our last convo.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think the last time we got together was we kind of talked about the ferret child, and so I kind of really thought about it, like, man, like what Jamie was sharing, is man, not for me personally, but I think what Jamie had to say is true. I think that some parents do kind of have their own personal favorites, but when after the conversation, I was like, man, I think I've become more lenient on my son. I think a lot of the things I do with his sports, like, come on. But I kind of realised, like, man, some of the things I do is just a lot of unnecessary pressure on my poor son, and even on my daughter. And so I've been kind of really trying to reeling back that kind of, not what I want, but more what's best for my kid. And so the conversation that we talked about kind of really helped. Like, you know what, I need to really kind of just relax and let my kid enjoy himself instead of me trying to put unnecessary pressure on him. And so that was So the talk we had was just really helped me kind of reflect on myself as a father, and how, in terms of, am I doing this right, or am I doing this for me instead of for putting my kid first, because I love him. And so obviously we all love our kids, but at the same time, it's like, hey, is it me? I need to put myself behind and get my thing out of the way, and let my kids just do their thing and just love on them, even if they make a mistake on the pitch or on the court and all that kind of stuff. So it really helped. The conversation we had was really cool, man. It really helped me, man. And cool. So I got to really reflect, a lot of reflection, and a lot of trying to change. Yeah, real change for not only for myself, but mostly for my kids.
That's me.
Yeah.
Shucks, that's me. But you, Jay, any reflections, or just get in trouble for having a favorite child?
Luckily, I've only got the one for now.
So do you have a favorite child?
I do that. For me, I think last week's discussion made me think about not just the relationship between, like, myself and my parents, but just sort of made me think about my role as a child, and
Wow.
how I helped or hindered my parents. We'll go through rebellious stages, but I look back on the hardship I gave my parents and just cringe at the stuff I thought was like the end of the world. It's kind of, but yeah, it just really, really made me grateful for the effort my parents made. Despite their shortcomings. I feel like I'm finally in a place where I can acknowledge they did the best they could, and I'm grateful for that. So
Cool, man.
yeah, it was good.
That's me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because they're playing again, eh? They're playing all this conversation. Every time.
Same time, starting time,
yeah.
mandate.
Talking smack.
Then you, you rubber bubble away.
Oh, actually.
I think so.
Oh, man. True. How about you guys?
Yeah, there's some like massive takeaways from the. There's so much, like, seriously, to unpack. But yeah, one of the things that stood out for me, just with what's been going on in my life and the people around me, was just how obviously all of us go through. We have different parents, so you have different like upbringings, and some are more fortunate than others. And last week really, for me at least, opened my eyes to, like, people around me. They might be doing things that I disagree with, or that are quite bad or frowned upon even, but like at the end of the day, we don't actually know what they've gone through. We don't know what they went through as a kid. We don't know what their upbringing was like. So you got to cut everyone a little bit of slack, at the end of the day. So for me, that was just, not that I'm like on everyone's cases with a whip or anything, but like, instead of being so quick to judge other people, you got to realize that we you don't know my wife. nah. But yeah, just sort of just been like open my eyes to be a bit more understanding, a bit more long suffering, as it's put in the scriptures, just towards other people, because we're all different. We all have different upbringings, and yeah, so that's cool. Yeah.
So OT never, Oranga Tamariki hasn't given you guys a call.
No, yeah, bro.
How about you, Phoenix?
Yeah, nah. Reflections, brothers. For me, it's a bit different. Like, I know I came last time and said like my relationship with my mom was a bit rocky, and yeah, I'm grateful that a week before Mother's Day, yeah, I went. Actually, my missus kind of like rekindled our relationship. So I went to go pick up my little sister, and then managed to kind of patch things up with my mum. Just hug it out. Hug it out, and then like this liquid started coming out of here.
Oh man.
What colour was it? No.
It's like red. I went dish dish. Nah,
That's bad, bro.
yeah, it was, yeah, and we just both apologized. Like, you know, it was just all, I don't know. I don't even know what it was, you know. But yeah, and then grateful to spend Mother's Day with her. Gave my dad a call today, and it's just cool to have that balance between my mom and my dad. And just, yeah, I think something I realized taking away from last episode was like how much I don't really know about my parents. You know, I knew them in my experience, but then before me, man, there's so much that they haven't told me about. And my mom was talking about, you know, some of her experiences when I went over for breakfast on Mother's Day, about like when she was hanging around with some of the girls in it was a bit R18, but like the parlors. She was like working and selling like clothes to them and stuff, and like kind of taking care of them. Yeah, because she could empathize with some of their challenges and stuff. And I don't know if my mom was like, you know, helping girls in that state, at those the brothels or whatever. And I know there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about my dad that I still want to discover. So yeah, just trying to ask them more about their history, rather than acting like I know the roundup, you know, the rounded up version of their story.
Just summarize their whole life in like a sentence.
Yeah. Oh, this is why you're like that, or you know. Yeah.
Wow.
But happy family.
Man.
Yeah. That's deep, man. That's cool, man.
It's interesting, because like sometimes even though you want to know more about them, it can still be hard to ask. Like, I don't know.
How do you ask?
Yeah, like how do you ask? Like, tell me about your life before. Like, yeah, good on you, bro. That's me.
Appreciate it.
When was the last when was the last Mother's Day that you spent with your mum?
Oh, last year.
Oh, you did spend all
But it was just like a few months where we just kind of, just kind of gave each other space.
Me, yeah.
Cool.
Distant love.
Sometimes it's like that,
But
season.
what about you, Charles? How you?
Yeah, last time talked a lot about my daughter and we talked about like how gotta be more understanding and listening to your kid and try to communicate, you know, what that went out the window. I think it's still something I struggle with, trying to be more patient with my teenage daughter, even though she's a good girl, man. But there's sort of like my expectations and the standards I have, like I'm really, I get like a short fuse over, and I don't allow her to grow. So I think something that I'm still trying to process and navigate through and try to be a bit better dad. It's hard because I work in the space of you're giving of yourself to others. Like you're caring for others in youth work and social services, but that's all good. But man, you can't even look after your own family or be the man you're supposed to be at home, then it's all a waste of time. So I think to be honest, it's something that I'm still trying to get better at, and before my daughter gets older, and then I just might end up being real resentful. So I don't want to get to that stage. But yeah, I think these conversations have really helped me to reflect on like me as a dad, and our whole mantra is like trying to be better fathers and be our best versions of ourselves. And so as we continue this talanoa, be cool to keep on progressing, and hopefully we can just check in each time we come in, because it's me, man.
Cool,
So
man.
I've got some success stories, still
yeah,
processing
yeah.
stuff, and we know why we deemed as not the favorite child.
All right, so we've obviously.
Tread lightly.
Okay.
Lightly.
Just don't speak for all men.
Speak for yourself.
So just the idea of like, because obviously this whole series and mandate's really about us men talking about our feelings, talking about our struggles, and trying to encourage, uplift each other, and just mainly improve and progress as men in this world. Whatever circumstance, whatever you're doing, this is just trying to help you get from this point in your ladder to a little bit higher. With that being said, I think especially with relationships with your spouse or your significant other, how open and how honest can you guys be with your wives or your spouses or your partners? I mean, can you pretty much say anything that comes in your mind to them?
I feel like I can. Like, I feel like she's been able to help me through like the most embarrassing things and things like I probably would take to the grave normally, but she knows about like, and not she knows by accident, but like I've been able to like work up the courage and like sort of it came through the pathway of like professional help, but that helped me to eventually get to a point where I could say those things to her and just own them as like it is what it is, like, and whatever happened, that was where I was at the time. And now I understand why I was like that, but I just feel like after that, everything else just became really easy to talk about.
So did you go through the professional help first before you were able to talk to your wife, or did you talk to her first and then she was like, you should go and seek professional help?
I went through professional help first, and then that helped me understand that like I had to cross that bridge.
Wow.
I've been trying to
Wow,
avoid it for ages, and I just thought, I'll take it to the grave.
Awesome, bro.
That's amazing.
And then like since then it's been good. She's been able to help me like understand it some more from her perspective, and I didn't really understand the impact of the decisions I made back in the day. I always just thought of it from my perspective as like I'm the victim and all this sort of stuff, but then seeing the impact it had on her, I was like, oh damn, didn't even consider that sort of stuff. So she's been able to help me unpack stuff in a unique way that even the professional help couldn't. Can
you imagine not having that relationship with her now?
Nah, I can't. Whereas once upon a time I probably could, but nah, not anymore.
Wow, that's cool.
What about you guys? Like with your spouses, are you?
Oh man, I think there's some, like Jim was saying, there's a lot of things I've done in the past, like, oh man, some real stupid stuff, even to the point where I think, I need to hide this, sometimes because of the shame and the guilt and the whakama, all that kind of stuff, and I thought, oh man, I should hide this, but somehow, it just gets revealed for some reason. It's like you try to hide these things, and like it could be something you either just your appearance or my appearance that she just knows because she knows because she's your wife or my wife. She knows me. Oh no, there's something wrong. There's something that's weighing on you, and so and even just little things where you feel like you just have to try to hide it. It's not really because you want to hide it to protect her. I think for me personally was hiding it because I felt guilty.
To protect yourself?
Protect myself and guilt and shame
Wow.
and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, even just being a believer and all that, it can like, how can you be doing this? And real hypocritical that you say this to other people and you try to help people and give them advice, and you're doing this yourself. And so it was really hard. It's really hard, and it was really hard. And then when my wife found out, it was like at the same time it was hard, but it was like a relief, because you're carrying all the shame and the guilt. And it's a relief. Like in my mind, it's like all I can think of is the worst case scenario. You bloody whatever, you loser. And then when the sad thing is that I didn't tell her. She found out, I pretty much got caught. You know.
Oh
It's
damn,
like,
that's even harder.
It's
isn't it?
hard.
But-
It's hard. You try to play the denial, you get on the defense. But when it came out, and I had to finally admit it, and my wife's like, man, I'm really, real supportive. I'm here to help you. I'm really, whatever it is that,
Wow.
regardless of all that, I still love you. Man. And I think to myself, man, would I have done if it was the reverse? Would I have reacted the same way? And in my mind, I think, man, I would be pissed off. Like, what the heck? You? But yeah, no, it really does. Like you're saying, Jay, it just pays to just be honest with our spouses and all that kind of stuff, but also be ready to own our and admit our own flaws and our and our weaknesses. Because there's many times like, oh man, I feel like useless, but my wife is the one who kind of picks me up, like, hey, look at yourself. You gotta stop thinking those negative thoughts. And so, but yeah, sometimes we kind of dwell on the past. But she always brings me back and says, hey, come on, man, that's the past. The past is the past. You just gotta keep moving on. And so, my wife has been real supportive. And so, that's what I've experienced thus far. Hopefully it's like this forever.
That was a long time.
Yeah. So I totally agree, mate, Jay. Yeah.
That's cool. That's me.
Is there ever any circumstances where something comes to your mind and you feel like, oh, if I told her, this might piss her off, or she might get offended, or is there anything? It's not that you're hiding it from her, but it's like there's no need to say it because it might be, you know what I mean? That might be.
Yeah, sure. There's always something that
It's like
you
usually
know
when
if
you
you
say
say it, you know what's gonna come. I feel like a lot of us the internal dialogue is like, oh no, she doesn't need to know. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, she's not gonna like it. But like some of the stuff you were saying is like you couldn't have imagined she'd react the way that she did, like in such a loving, supportive way. I feel like half the battle, man, is just like getting it out of our own heads and then just out to anyone, but ideally our spouses.
So both your wives were like supportive when this whatever it was that you were going through came out. Instead of being like I can't believe you, like.
Nah, I think there was a bit of that at first.
At first,
just ultra cut, like ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
Like, so there was a bit of pain and stuff, but eventually it was like, once that sort of subsided, then it was like, okay, well, eventually time just eased the pain a bit to the point where she was ready to like, okay, cool.
To move on
and move and
yep.
heal and
cool.
happy through it kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's me.
It's true.
Were you stronger as a result?
Diffs, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Because it's helped me be able to like people saying like just own it. And now when I see other people struggle with it, I'm like, bro, don't even feel like you're isolated or that you can't talk to anyone. Because I'm like, totally get it, and it's all good. Like, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. You know? Like you're here now. If you can acknowledge it, then that's a good first step, kind of thing. Yeah. So I love having those conversations because it's the conversations with people who feel just so trapped by it. And I've got a close friend who like we've been able to connect on like another level through shared struggle, and like he opened up that like he just could never imagine telling his parents or anyone else, and I was the only person that he was able to share it with, and because of that his parents know now. He's got a circle of friends that all know, and everyone's been able to support him through his journey. I'm like, man, that's
cool.
Cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Was he married or did he have a wife?
Nah, he's single. Yeah.
Wow.
That brings up a point though, like just I don't know, say for instance that person did have a missus or did have a wife and they're not at a point in their relationship or he doesn't feel comfortable where he could tell her whatever they're going through. Do you think it's still a viable option to tell someone else, anybody else? Or do you think that should pretty much go directly to the spouse? Like he confided in you because you were the only one he could trust. And as a result of that, there have been all these amazing... He's been able to open up to many more people. But and being married, I'm just wondering, should that automatically go straight to the wife, or just whoever you're comfortable with, whoever you actually?
Because I feel like it should be open to whoever you're comfortable with, and there'll be a time when you need to cross that bridge, but it doesn't have to be. I don't know. Just some people just aren't ready, not just to receive it, but not ready to say it. And I don't know if forcing it out prematurely is
It's the best thing to
best
do.
course of action. But that's just my own personal perspective.
That's a good
What do you
point
guys
that
think?
you bring up, Jay, around like might not be ready to receive it. You know, like sometimes I feel like some of the stuff that I've told my partner, I felt like it was too much to chew. You know, like before, when she was skinny. You know, like just nibbles, like finger food of who I am. And then it's this massive ass 5-course meal. And then like just being unconscious of or not conscious enough of like how she would receive it. But I think for me about the opening up to her, and I'm still a baby in this game. I'm only like 2.5 years.
That's really good.
And yeah, so I'm just soaking up all of these, writing
Good, bro. That's
writing
the
mental
one.
notes.
Cool, man.
So Shop Brothers for all of these gyms. But it was cool for me because I hadn't had a partner, since like my last girlfriend was in freaking year 9, year 10.
Not.
Yo, and then
Damn.
after like 7 years, then I met my partner, 2 years ago, and then so I felt like I was ready. I was done waiting, and then so I went in, and I remember having a reflection when I was like single, being like, "Fuck, I can't wait to get a partner to tell her all my insecurities and just like let it off on my shoulders," without knowing that I should have dealt with it, and then went into the relationship, But even though she helped me through a lot of those insecurities and like, just flaws and imperfections that we all, overthink sometimes. I went in naked, and I knew that like my first year of getting to know my partner and her getting to know me was like a good solid foundation for us for the rest, and we can like I didn't have anything right now that I'm like holding on to, but I think like that's holding that guilt and shame and embarrassment, because she knows everything like at the deep end. If I find something, I'll find the right time to kind of tell her, because I think that was the thing in timing, like right timing. What's the energy like? You gotta like
Gotta be able to
examine,
read it,
examine. What's like? Are you? Is it like pillow talk, and then you're like, what time of the month? Exactly, exactly. Or like drop it in a joke, or like I don't know, like something. Like,
Have lots of guests over and probably guests. By the way, hon.
That's a mean life hack.
What?
Wait for him.
Like,
Get the ice. That's me.
but yeah, the timing is a big one.
Just so cool.
But yeah.
So did you say you went into your fellow's relationship
Naked.
with like? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Naked for a couple years. So you went in there with these issues, and you were saying it would have been better to have dealt with it first and then gone in. But you pretty much went in there, and then did you unload it to her? Quite reasonably quickly, or?
Yeah. Within the first half year, I felt like I was just
Wow.
everything was out.
Were you letting it out like sort of all at once, like just in one big heart to heart, or was it sort of
Gradual,
Yeah.
gradual, definitely. Like the first few months was just trying to win her over and make her know I'm legit. I'm not trying to hide anything. Until that half year, I was like, "But you forgot this, but you don't know this." Track card now.
Face down.
Now that I'm got you now. It was all gradual, just to the point where like I know that she trusts me, I trust her with whatever we say.
That's me.
Man, it's so
She's
cool.
a keeper, mate.
Hard.
She's still,
Yep,
still there.
definitely. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really wise, man. Phoenix, what you say is really wise, because I think that what you're saying, you're saying the best time, or just okay, what's the best timing to tell her or to share those things, and it is. I think it saves a whole lot of heartache, because the worst thing is that you just keep it in and then you get caught. Man, it just creates havoc, man. Like, but not saying that you can't work things out, but that's really wise, bro. That's really wise that you're thinking, okay, I've just picked the right time. What's the best time, instead of okay, I'll just delay it and get caught. Oh man,
Exactly.
because it turns ugly, man. I know, because I know what it feels like. It was ugly. It was ugly my poor wife had to, some of the things, like, I don't know, I should have said something, and then, but you get caught, like, oh man. And the whole ugliness would come out, like you were saying, Jay, that just, it wasn't like, oh, okay, honey, I love you, and all that. It was like, oh yeah, people, all this F and this and that. And I was like, no. And then when she would finally kind of calm down, like, I kind of reflected, like, no, I need to help you. So it's gonna save you a lot of heartache, man. I think for a lot of us, just to be upfront with our wives instead of trying to. And I mean, but that's what it was, bro. That's cool.
Sure. Yeah, the earlier the better.
Yeah.
The earlier the better. If you're fresh in a relationship, the earlier the better to just empty out that closet of skeletons and all of that. Cause
Not too early, not when you're on the first date.
Hey, my name's
But,
Phoenix.
yeah.
I'm insecure. Pick up 5.
I hate this about me.
No, help me.
So what do you want to eat? Oh man.
Although it's funny that you mentioned cleaning out the closet, like the skeletons in the closet. Sometimes it's not until you empty the closet that you realize how many skeletons lie in there.
Yeah.
How big the closet is.
Some of them are dust. No.
Like it's just amazing sometimes, man. The amount of stuff like that you just like for whatever reason your mind just tries to forget it ever existed, and then it's not until you open about some things and then the doors open and then it's like, oh, actually, like, man, there's lots of other stuff that I hadn't even considered as skeletons that have been in there for who knows how long.
It's a defense mechanism or something.
Yeah,
I think.
Self-preservation. I feel like it's just like so that you can live with yourself. That's how I just
Wow.
how I thought of it. Like from my own, when I think back to it, it's like that's the only way I could handle living with myself was to like create this barrier of lies or whatever to just make myself forget that the stuff ever happened.
So true.
Yeah.
And a bit of pride as well. I don't know, Jay.
Yeah,
Pride,
That's probably.
And you're right. And what Jay was saying, I think at that time I created this whole lie about, no, that's all right. I'm all good. I can handle it. I can do this. I'm all good. But you know very well you kind of like you deceive yourself and you just but you know it's wrong. But you just like, oh no, it's all good. No, I'm doing really well. And so you create this lie, and then when the lie is unveiled or you become exposed, like, oh man, it was ugly inside. But you know, it has to come out and and you got to clean your closet.
And then you're naked, actually.
Yeah.
And then they see you for what you actually are, which is.
This kind of makes it kind of makes me wonder hearing about it. And I'm like, obviously, maybe don't disclose it here, but it makes me curious about how many of our skeletons are lined, like are the same or similar.
I think a lot of them. I think
The unspoken skeletons.
Just throw it up.
Segment later.
Ready, go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Nick, there'll be an episode.
Oh, man.
Would have been awkward if someone said something serious like murder.
Cut! Oh man.
It's cool, man.
No, I'm really grateful. Like I really love the relationship I have with my wife. She's behind the camera, by the way, but I'm not just saying this because she's here. Like, like I definitely see the thing about being open with them and saying, like, I pretty much, there's like no filter. If I think of something, I just say it to her like instantly, to the point where it like pisses her off, and she's like, "Can you just shut up? Like, please, just for a second, just stop talking." But I don't. Intentionally, because it's so much fun. But just in like we've had some, like you guys have gone through some highs and some real bad lows, but for me the thing that was like so heartwarming and amazing was seeing how I can be in my absolute lowest. Like I got fired from oh gosh, I'm saying this now, but I got fired from a job that I worked at before, and I was waiting for her to just like, bro, I can't believe it. Like, but she just, she was hurt and she was like. But almost instantly, she was like, how do I put this? Like, supportive, like straight away. To the point where I was like, man, I don't feel worthy. But as soon as it had come out and everything had happened, the weights off my shoulder was like, oh my gosh. Like the relief was like, it makes you wonder. Like, you're right. We put up all of these walls and stuff to try and protect ourselves, but we're doing the complete opposite. Like, it wasn't until that came off my shoulders that I realized, like, man, I'm missing out on just living life, because you're constantly, when you're in some sort of a trap, you're constantly just being weighed down and you have no control over it. You're a victim to whatever it is that you're held in. So being able to just have that released and come off me was just amazing. And I'm so grateful to have a relationship with my wife where I can just be honest with her.
That's
man.
cool.
So cool.
You're talking about like, she came from a supportive perspective because she didn't look at the overall like how we're gonna survive, how we're gonna pay rent. She just went straight to like, how's your well-being?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
That's cool, man.
Fuck, that's me.
And that made the healing process and the recovery process after that like kicking straight away.
Yeah,
Because
like
otherwise
to bounce back.
to bounce back, and I was like, man, like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
amazing.
That's cool.
I can only imagine, had we not had that open relationship,
Yeah.
things would have been real sour real fast. You know?
That could have been a relationship injury.
Mm.
Like,
And then there's kids in that involved. It just
Yeah.
gets like things get so messed up and whacked. So I definitely feel like it's so important to have an open relationship, not an open relationship. Like an open line of communication.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
it.
gosh.
They edit this, but that's it.
that was the original meaning. Of
Oh, what she said? Oh, I mean, no.
Which wife was that?
That's cool, man, Brad. That's cool, Brad.
And the saddest thing that there's a lot of relationships out there where, on the flip side, the partner will think about, the effects of having no job and will make it worse for their spouse.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it would be interesting to sort of go deep on how you get to a place where your relationship's that solid that regardless of what happens, that you're there for each other and trying to walk through all the bad stuff together, good and bad, sickness and health. To death do us part.
Bars.
But that's so true. I just feel like there's like, I'm not generically speaking, because how long have you guys been married for?
Married 17 years this year.
11 years.
Oh, 17 years.
So I mean, but because of you're the stepman, there's a lot of like divorces and a lot of, and yes, like there's been infidelity and there's been a whole lot of reasons. But at the end of the day, when you made that vow to your spouse, you said you'll be there for them no matter what.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's, like, I know this is kind of tangenting, but we'll get back there in the end. But in making these vows and making these promises, no matter what happens, like having that relationship, that's why it's so important. Is I got fired from my job. She easily could have said, you know what, bro, F you, bro. You've been lying to me all this time. Like, I'm done. And kept it. And then that would have been the end. And then it would have been, our lives would have gone way, of course. But all those years ago, we made that decision and that promise before God that would be there no matter what. And so, whether you're married or not married, at least if you have that sort of connection and that open line of communication, you can just be like, you know what, man, like I stuffed up, but let's freaking do this, pick ourselves back up and let's go again.
Yo.
Can you imagine your relationships without that hardship? Like the one that we all talked about. If that stuff never happened, would your relationship be better off without it?
No way. No way. Like, not even close.
That friction, eh? You gotta.
The refiner's fire, they say.
Yeah, man.
It's funny because that applies not just to you as an individual going through, but as couples, definitely. You're going to go through friction in that, and if you do make it through in the end afterwards, you're definitely going to be stronger. I mean, I'm sure we can all testify that after going through these dramas that we have, the relationship afterwards is like stronger. Yeah.
I think that's like the manuscript of life, eh? Almost like the Bible always talks about it, that like every man that went through a crazy trial had that blessing at the end. Got that blessing because he worked through it before he got blessed with whatever, with a role or riches. Yeah.
It's true.
Man, amazing.
All right. We're going deep. This is only the second segment.
Real.
Sweet
Yeah.
brothers.
Let's go.
So, I'm jumping in on Jay's category and just kind of like, just kicking it off. Because, yeah, we got to go there, brothers. And the unspoken of the day, or one of the unspokens, in relationships is... well, my auntie warned me that there were seasons in a relationship, and her first one was the 3 year. And I'm coming up to my 3 years. And the third year, apparently it just becomes stagnant. I don't know if it's because you know everything about each other and you try and predict each other and, and start reading into too much of each other. The next one was the 7-year itch, which I just got from a friend in our crew. Thank you. It's
good.
And the 7-year itch, and then the last one was the 11-year. I'm just wondering if you guys have your own years, brothers, that you could kind of... Because I feel like it's a personal thing, but I think that, I don't know, society just creates some averages on, like, some years that are hard. But, yeah. Is there any years that you guys, that I should be aware of in the upcoming, or, what's some tips for
Damn.
the coming years?
Just experience the 1 year, the 2 year, the 3 year.
It's all in the earlier years.
7-year itch.
My 3 year one didn't really think for me because I spent 3 years undercover. I came
What do you
up-
mean?
So I was still in high school, but I came up in the you move out or you're not old enough to date, or so no one. My parents never knew that I had a missus for 3 years. Even that one time I got caught with
Hickey?
Oh, toothpaste.
With a bruise.
toothpaste, a bruise over here.
Rugby.
I can't remember.
Got punched in the neck.
That or just always wearing a scarf.
That's when the turtlenecks were out.
Perfect.
Bro.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't experience that because it was always exciting, like trying to do meetups and.
Adrenaline.
Damn.
Oh, we won't get there.
That's for another.
What was your main excuses? Why you're like home late or sleeping at a mate's?
Or were you just
When
sneaking out?
you grow up in a neglected home, it doesn't matter. Everyone's too busy working and to notice that you're not home.
True. Wow.
No, it was quite similar to Charles, because I wasn't even thinking about the itch. But because it took us like almost 5 years to be together, like actually be together.
Oh, wow.
And so we were, so I totally understand what you're saying. Like, I was just always like, oh man, can't wait to catch up and meet up. And so it was hidden it wasn't hidden. It was like for the first like 2-3 years or hidden, and then we just finally just said, hey, we're just gonna do it because we're just gonna just make it just put it out in the open. And but still then it was like we still had to hide it because we still felt uncomfortable because our parents or her parents didn't really approve of it at the time. And so we were still kind of hiding for years.
The in-laws, eh?
Yeah, we'll get into that, but
That's
but
the
yeah,
next unspoken.
yeah, but yeah,
We're gonna bring a special guest.
but yeah, no, that was. But in terms of the 7-year itch and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I think there's moments where you like. I think if I'm being honest, there's moments like, oh man. Yeah, I think those moments come when you're angry at your spouse. I think you're just angry and you're like, oh man. And then, but the reality is like, for me, the reality is like, man, if I had gone with someone else, if I felt like the itch to cheat, and you got your kids, and I always think to myself, I still think this, like, man, that's for me, it's like death. Like you actually, like you would give away. It's like you would you will sell yourself, or sell your soul, to be with some other woman just for, I don't know, just for an hour or whatever, for temporary, and all that the love and all the history you've built with your wife and the love you have for your kids, that's death. And it's like, man, gosh, I know for a fact, man, I couldn't live with myself if I did that. And you go, oh yeah, just for, like you're saying, Felix, just for temporal, and then you wake up, man, no, this is not worth it. And it is for
Weighing
me,
it
for
up
me,
there.
yeah, for me, it's like, it's not worth it. You weigh it up, like, no, it's not worth it. And so, yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah. I just, all I can see is like, man, if I'm ever in that kind of situation, like, man, I just feel like there's a sense of death there. Like, nah, it's a trap. It is a trap. And you would sell your soul, just for, I don't know, for a few minutes, just and then leave all that love. And it's just, yeah,
That's me.
not worth it.
I know.
It's just getting itchy now.
Well, geez, brothers, you got any years to
Yeah, I
I
think,
don't know, or
Yeah, I
just
think for
any
us-
seasons?
So just to clarify, can you just clarify what the 3 year, 7 year
Three.
itch?
I
like
think
what it actually
my
is.
auntie didn't go into it, but she would just be aware. When I was fresh into my relationship, she's like, try 3 years, and then 7, and then 11. Just be aware. And I was like, all right,
oh wow.
okay, yeah.
So she's talking about what?
I think that was just
That-
her
difficulties
personal.
or-
That was just her personal
Okay.
view on a year that they had to kind of really muscle through
Mm.
each other. Yeah,
I can
That's
see
a
that.
hard one, like
I
just-
can actually see that. Yeah.
because I think it's just coming to a plateau stage where you want more. You know what I mean? But then, yeah, I'm not too sure.
And there's
I don't know when I get
there's so many different like factors, like when you have kids, when you have multiple kids, and you're 2 years, 3 years into a relationship, like you're not just trying to figure out how to live with this person, and because I do feel like because I think we went through a bit of a rough phase, 2-3 years I think into our relationship. But we have differences in our beliefs and our faith.
Yeah.
And so, we both felt strongly about that, but it's a matter of like, how do you come to just learn to disagree, like agree to disagree on certain things? And just because you don't agree on the same thing on everything doesn't mean that I hate your guts or anything. It's like, we're just different people, and the whole thing about marriage is trying to have two people live as one person. And it's hard when when you have your own interests and your own beliefs and your own things going on. And then on throw in the mix with that, like kids and trying to sort out family life and stuff. So I can see how, for us, I think that was a struggling period for us. But yeah, again, you just knuckle down and you stick at it. I think another thing, how I said it was multifaceted, is the like pressures of work, and there's just so many different things, man. Even in getting up and going to work every day, after a while at your job, it just gets stagnant, and it's not that you have problems with your marriage specifically, but it might be like where you are and how happy you are and what you're doing.
Right.
There's like, it's. But we're in 7 years now, so I'll report to you next year about how this year went.
It's cool, man. It's cool, man.
Welcome to mandates.
Bradley's wife is no longer behind the camera.
Working with phones now. What would be tips in those? Like, just say you went through a period of like, I don't know, it seemed like you hit a dead end, or I don't know, just a real big speed bump in your relationship where you had to like think outside the box, or I don't know, give each other some space. What would be tips in those spaces? And like,
For us, prayer was a big one. Like, even if you're not necessarily spiritual, just I don't know what they call it, a meditation, or just really like reflecting on. Because often whatever. So say, it's me and you, we're married, and we have a difference in opinions, and I strongly believe this, you strongly believe that. That was where the friction came up with us. Was we both had strong beliefs, and it's like you're trying to wrestle and decide who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
When in the end, it's like you can't do the whole ultimatum thing necessarily, or maybe with some things you can't, but not with everything. So it's a matter of like, after all is said and done, you might go away, then you might think about. For me, I'd like really think about how did it go down, and man, I'd be like really embarrassed and really feel really bad about things that were said and the way things were handled and how things could have been done better. So it really comes down to, if you really love your spouse and if you really want to make it work, then you will make it work.
Yeah,
always.
true.
You'll find a way to just be like, agree, at the very least, agree to disagree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it you or your partner that's letting down? Or like, you know, that like
That likes the what?
that like, you know, that lets go of their will
Honest,
to
it's
be
me.
right.
It's me, bro. It's me. At least I think.
My
No,
man,
no,
I feel
that
you,
definitely
so-
is.
I feel you.
As his brother, I can testify. It is
Nah. Yeah. I think it is for me. It's just. I mean, at the end of the day, someone has to, bro. Someone has to.
nothing wrong with being the humble one.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm humble as.
You sound more. That's mean.
But yeah, I never heard of it though. The 3, 7, and 11 rule.
That's cool.
Just
That's mean.
I reckon it's better to have no expectation anyway and just go off the flow,
Yeah.
as it comes.
Man, yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, I remember our first 6 years there. Like, it was tough. Shucks. Yeah, we went through a lot in our first 6 years. Just trying to think. I think the game changer for us was when I came to faith. I had like these men that sort of surrounded me and they started like mentoring me, type of thing. And I remember doing a marriage course. And I used to always think, man, I love my wife. But I went through this marriage for life course and then learned these biblical teachings. I was like, oh wait, compared to this, I don't love her at all. And so I'm just learning all these new ways of how to like treat my wife, looking at how the Bible says it. And I remember having men like correct me when I used to like say certain things. Like, why you say that for? That's you're speaking death over your wife. And I was like, oh, what?
Wow.
Sorry, but I allowed them because I looked at their marriage and I looked at the fruits of their life. It's sort of like, oh yeah, I want some of that. So yeah, and after that, it was like, oh man, we're on this journey of like getting to know each other even deeper and having patience and like I can honestly say we've been together for nearly 20 years, but I love her more now than we did when we first hooked up, and that's just you're just growing together. And I think the standard of what the world has to offer and what we always see on TV, like 11 years is long. Like we have these celebrities always like breaking up, and the divorce rate is high, and we're always like, if we're programmed to see that all the time, we think that's normal, but
Yeah.
like.
Start expecting it.
Yeah, but when you learn to journey with someone, not give up and love on each other, you can survive through a lot of the things. So yeah, I think. What did you ask Brad again? Like, what are some tips?
Yeah, just in those times of I don't know,
just-
confusion and like hopelessness. What was some of the tips?
When you're deep in the trenches, and
Yeah.
that 3 year or
Don't
7
give
years.
up, man.
Yeah. So what do you mean, Phoenix? So you mean like
Like, how do you not give up?
give up?
Or how did you not give up from your own personal experience?
I just think I think of how much I think because of all the crap I've done, and even some of the stupid stuff I've put my wife through, just the love that she's always shown me. So I tend to think on that kind of stuff. Like, man, it's just crazy. Like crazy. Like sometimes I think, man. Sometimes in my own head, I think, man, I marry above my, my kind of, she was out of my league kind of thing. So if you know my wife, she was kind of the girl. Yeah, she would drive her MR2, and her dad was like, her dad was like a wealthy businessman. He was a good businessman. She would drive around with sunglasses. And I remember one time I was walking. I think I was walking with Ali. I think we were walking one time. She was driving an MR2, and and like, hey, that's Jesse's sister. Hey, and she just looked at us like, and she did the old. Yeah. So yeah, but the thing is that because she knows me so well, but then because she's so supportive of me and like this my wife is that's the person that she is. She really believes in me and the things that I want to do and conjure up in my mind. Let's do this. She's 100%, and she'll go to like she'll even learn how to do the audio sound engineering just to help me with the shows, the lighting, everything. I think, man, who would do that? Who would do that? Even yes, for that, all that kind of stuff. Like, man, you know, like this, and even to the point like, oh man, we've got no money for the shows. You know what? I'll sort it out. I was like, man, it's like, what the heck? And so for me, it's like I just focus on, like, if I'm having a bad, like if we're having a rut or a fight, I just think like, man, you know what? This lady has done so much for me that, man, shucks, there's no way. Like, I hope I'll never go down that road, but this is, for me, it's like I just think of what she's done for me, and like, man, that's just like, I love my wife, man. I don't know anyone who would ever do this for me, you know.
I don't.
And so,
Yeah,
and for our kids, like she just, that's crazy,
do you ever feel like at a point where like you've already come this far, like there's no point in starting it, you know, again with anyone else?
Bro,
Can't imagine,
Imagine dating again.
Alright, alright, okay,
Bro, no way.
Like despite of who, like, you know, who your partner is, like just the whole doing it again is just like, you know, time consuming, just waste of time. Because I don't know, for me, do you guys feel like there's a thing as like the one for you, or do you feel like you choose your person to make them the one, or do you feel like the one is destined for you?
I don't know if there's one one particular person that's for you that's destined to be. I feel like you make your own fate, you make your own destiny, and so the person that endures all the hardship. And I think that's why my feedback on the previous point would be, the sooner you hit rock bottom, the better. Because you need a little bit of darkness to appreciate the light, and it's only in rock bottom that the ego gets put. And that's what I feel like is the biggest thing. Is like one of the side effects of being told you can do anything in life is that you want everything. And so like that's why I feel like when you mention the itch thing, like that just feels like, man, I've been through that, and it was my ego that was the biggest problem. Like I wanted everything. I always wanted more. And so the currency of my happiness was like having it all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom that, like,
Unlimited.
I hit rock bottom, and then it was like, damn, like I've got no one except my wife, and she was the one that helped guide me through. And then I was like, this is the one I'm meant to be with. Like, this is, I can't imagine it anywhere else. And we've had that conversation about, like, if one of us dies, like, you know, what happens next. And I know for myself, like, that's me for life. Like, you know, I don't really want anything else.
Shut brothers. Brownie points just went up to you.
Edit some brownie points. Jackpot.
I'm trying to think also give my brownie points up.
You've actually brought up a good point though, Pete, about with working, you know, because you're trying to find ways to overcome some of these hurdles that you can go through at different stages of your relationship with your spouse, or definitely. But like, one of them is working together on stuff. I know it's like a common, I don't know, misconception or myth that, like, man, you should never work with your spouse or with your partner. Like, you're gonna butt heads and all this sort of stuff. And I was just seeing like a ton of like really successful people say that's just a load of rubbish. Like, I don't know, someone said it and then everyone just believed it, and then now it's like it's people think it's common knowledge, and it's just not true.
Everyone's so different though. Like every couple, and every individual in their couple,
and also in the field in which they're going to be working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, similar to that Mandela effect. Have you heard of that? No. Like when someone believes it, and then, like, I don't know, it becomes a societal norm. Now everyone believes it because
and now it's facts.
It's like a strong a rounded up fact. Yeah.
But just in what you're saying, and because you had a dream that you really, your wife saw that as worthwhile pursuing because you were really passionate about it. She took on the role of like, I want to learn how to do sound, I want to learn how to do lighting, to help you fulfill your dream. And of course, in those times where you've been at your lowest, you're like, man, my wife went like above and beyond for me to make my dream come true, and she did. And so like these are like little things you can hold on to. But yeah, I just feel like there's not enough like couples that are working together, because like you guys are a prime example of like couples that do work together, and my wife and I are just starting too. So, and I've already seen like in working and doing stuff together, like work wise, affects our relationship positively in like private life. Like
Wow.
we're just like we're always in sync now. Like instead of me going to my 9 to 5 and coming and spending all day with them and then coming home and I've been surrounded by the. I mean, you are who you're surrounded by. What if someone say, if you want to know what your child's like, show me their friends, and I'll tell you what your child's like.
Yeah.
You're going to work and you're spending all your time around other people. You don't know what they're like or what they've been through, and then your wife is doing the same thing. You come back home, over a long period of time, you're like just drifting further and further apart. So just by, if there's any way that you and your wife can work together in some way, that will definitely help your relationship. Like,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
9 times out of 10, you might be the one couple that just butt heads regardless, but yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole escapism, like getting time away from my partner just to kind of miss her or like, you know, regain that love.
Really work after hours.
Oh, like, whoa!
Every time,
Gee, if I work with my muscles and then had to come home to it, oh, bro.
Is that you watching?
Some of us need some time apart.
Everyone's different.
That's a
yeah,
good
everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's called for different jobs.
Yeah.
It's funny because me and my wife were both studying to be teachers, and
Man.
I always thought like I could work in the same school. And then I asked her, and she was like, "Hell no!" Like I just piss her off. So it's funny we would work in the same field, but not necessarily
In the same
together.
school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so even just now as students, like it's been cool studying the same stuff by having different perspectives on the same stuff. So we can have conversations and both get each other, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're like physically working together in the same space.
Yeah, I know. And, you know, my wife's my biggest supporter. She's my biggest cheerleader. But we don't necessarily need to be working together for that to happen.
For
Like,
that
she
to
does it in different ways, like allowing me time to. So when I come home stressed, like she allows me to. Yeah, he needs a space. Or if I need time to do certain things, she gives me that time. She'll give me leeway with chores and stuff, and when I'm down, she's able to speak into it. But she
That's
doesn't
cool.
necessarily have to be with me doing what
And
I'm doing,
what you're doing,
for me to feel her support.
Can I just add that that's one of the most amazing things? Like when you've had a long day, a hard day, you come back and they just know you don't even have to say anything, but they just know you've had a hard day, and automatically it's like putting things in place to like help you ease to the point where okay, I can talk about it now.
That's irreplaceable. Like,
Bro, big ups for that. I love that.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
It's gone up now.
sometimes. No, I remember watching this guy's testimony thing where he talks about like the same energy he puts in at work. He has to have that same energy when he comes home, and it's sometimes we often come home and it's like we treat our families and our spouses like
The leftovers.
they get the leftovers from us. So
It's sad that sometimes we're convinced or like I don't know where it comes from, but just it's sad that we can even compare the two. That we even have the thought to put more energy into our work than the limited time we have with our our wives and our family and our kids. Like, man, that's something I've been really I feel bad bringing it up again, but something I've been just battling with, man. Just with study and being out in the workspace, just that whole where our priorities lie. Obviously for myself and probably for many of you guys, just the way we were raised, like family, church, like service, all that sort of stuff. Like those responsibilities are things we take seriously, and they're a part of us. They're a part of what makes us unique. And then just mixing in a workplace where like that stuff's not really valued. They have different values. And just trying to like hold your ground. It's tough, man. It's challenging, but it's definitely helped make me realize the importance of those supportive relationships in terms of helping us achieve our goals professionally, but also helping us be better men. It's like, man, their spouse, their family connection is just so important.
like you were saying, when you might go to work or you might go to study and you have just have one of those frustrating days, like as well as them putting things in place to make it easier, just being able to vent to them and unload, like go home and just like swear, like honestly, man, this person is freaking pissing me off, and just and then afterwards you're like, okay, I'm done, like thank you. then you can get back to your normal routine and that. But I find that's a huge blessing, man. I'm just able to just let loose on my poor wife, and then when it's all said and done, then it's like, okay, cool, I'm done. Cool, I've had my rant. It's all good. I'm good now.
Me.
But I just wanted to add on to going back to the 3-year itch. One of the things that comes to mind is like, to help with that, I don't know, the topic of like in-laws comes to mind. Like, I just feel like that's one of the other complicating factors. Pretty subtle.
Because you've met the family by then.
Yeah, you've met the family by then. Things happen for whatever reason. Sometimes
At the three, sort of especially the 3-year thing, I would say.
like, that's where those relationships, man, I mean, they're important, but damn, they can be challenging.
Yeah, it can really affect the relationship. Eh? 'Cause you were saying something about your
Nah, it was. No, I'll be honest. Nah.
the brownie voice is gonna
No, it was like you talk about like trying to, for years. And so the saddest thing about it was that I think it was just the way it was meant to be. Obviously it was, and so my mother-in-law didn't really like who I was and all that kind of stuff. But it was just, I think because mothers want the best for their daughters, and now I realise now she wanted the best for her daughter. She didn't really know who I was, and kind of like from a different background. And so I was from the hood, and so she's like, oh no, and so I can understand. Now that I'm older, I understand why she kind of rule. I think she was more threatened, like, okay, what is this guy gonna do? All the work that we've done and the values we've instilled in our daughter, and this guy's gonna come out of the blue, don't even know where he's from. And so it was very hard. It was very hard for my wife and I to even go out in public. So we were like, you're saying, Charles, we were like hiding and going to the movies, but just hiding, and it was real sad because it just felt really ugly. It just felt really ugly. You had to hide just to go. And so that was real detrimental from the get go. And so, and even when we got married, it was like, oh, it just still was like, just really, I felt like there wasn't a real kind of unison or a real unity in terms of like between my wife and I, but in terms of the other side of the family, it was like, and so for years, I think for another maybe a good like 10 years, maybe even longer. It was a real like, but it's not until recently, and I tell you, even though there was a bit of a rift there with her side of the family and my mother-in-law and all that, this year has just been amazing. Well, in terms of I've really getting to know her, and amazing lady. I've gotten to know her, man, a real amazing, and I really admire this woman. And I'm proud to call her my mother-in-law. She's real strong, real resilient, and really loving. And so she treats me like, a real son now. Like, man, even points where she just kisses me on the cheek, hey, big hugs, all that kind of stuff. Like, man. And so all that kind of hardship in the beginning, and to now, it's like, man, I think it was, it was just one of those learning curves, and I really had to. It taught me a lot in terms of not trying to judge others or trying to love others, like as hard as it was, and then seeing the change, and then her really, like, I can really see it, a genuine, authentic love for me. I was like, man. And so, like you're saying, but scripture, something you have to go through those hard times, and then you're able to really reconcile. There's a blessing, and there was a real blessing. My mother-in-law is an amazing lady. She loves my kids, and like the thing she does is like every morning, hey, morning, and all that kind of stuff, hugs me, kisses me. It's like, man. And so, and I could have had this real grudge in my heart, like, I want nothing to do with your mom, Caroline, all that kind of stuff. But I'm so glad that some of these events have happened, this hardship happened, and that I can really appreciate this lady as a really good lady. She really is. She's a really good lady. Really good lady. I was like, man. And so it's just, and I have so much respect for this lady now. I was like, wow. Whereas before, I was like, oh man, I don't think she likes me, and it could have been just in my own head, it could have been just me. Like I've been looking at her, but the problem was probably me. And so, but I'm just,
That's cool.
So I think, really, really blessed for it now,
Double brownie points. No, that's me.
So yeah, no, cool. Yeah, that's but it's me, my mother-in-law. Yeah, it's just amazing.
I'd be interested to see what you guys think about the whole 3 year, 7 year, and what is it? 11 years. Have you guys got any thoughts? Chuck it down below, please.
For this segment, so I just wanted to talk about something I've thought about for ages, but interestingly, I feel like I've kind of changed stance a little bit. But my initial thought was, as men, we just shouldn't live with our in-laws. It should just be exclusively us, our partner or wife, and our kids. We should be given the space to grow because our in-laws will be more of a hindrance than a help to helping us achieve our goals and be better men.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
Have you had that experience?
No, but I've put my wife through that experience, and that's what
yeah.
made me against it, because she went through hell for however long it was that she lived
Well,
in the back of a garage at 34 Karanga Street.
Cold ass garage.
Yeah, so yeah, just knowing how much she struggled, I just think it's unfair to do that to your other half.
wow,
Yeah, so it's tough.
that's unfair, hun. That's unfair. What are you doing to me now? Just now, I'm saying.
Because
I'm saying
you're always tiptoeing around, like you can't really
That's
be
true.
yourself.
Yourself,
Like,
Mm.
yeah.
That's true. I think I've moved in with my partner's family like after, what's that? Maybe like the 1.5 years. Yeah, into our relationship. I think we got real like comfortable living with each other really quick. And that was all good around in family, but then I think after like the honeymoon phase kind of settled down, and I felt like I had to, you know, when you're fresh in your in-laws, where you're putting on a show.
Yeah.
What, you want me to do that? Okay, I'm there.
That's not sustainable.
Year and a half later,
That's
you're
not
like,
sustainable.
lock
Yeah.
in.
You know, and they knew me as, you know, that guy that dances General Fire, or I don't know, dancer Prestige, whatever. But for me, I wanted to find that space where I could just be like me around family. How I'm around my family, human being to human being. You know, I can, you know, show my flaws, you know, my imperfections. But it took like a little bit for me to like, you know, like settle down into just really finding my comfort. And I feel you on that. Like even till this day, like I can go downstairs and, you know, make me a feed, but just making sure I abide by the house rules. Like, you know, clean up after yourself, and it's basic stuff. You know, clean up after yourselves, offer help to you know, to my Mrs. Nan. But I definitely feel, yeah, that pressure of like, yeah, I've gotten a little bit of slack of like, going into it.
Let it out, man. Let it out.
And this guy's just paying cheap rent. This guy wants to stay with us. So I got cheap rent, and just saving up, and yeah. But for me, it's just my own personal experience, because my partner's family is real supportive, family based. You know, not really going out to outside circles. They kind of, you know, just keep it within the family, which is like my family as well. But I think for me, I'm a real social person, or I have multiple bubbles that I kind of you know, jam with, whether it be dance, whether it be work, other arts. But yeah, interesting pointers. Yeah, I think that's why we're trying to find our own place right now, just to kind of find
Nice.
that space. Because
Cool.
no eggshells, or and you can be as loud as you want to be. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You can set the bar how you want it to be.
It's your house, so it'll be your rules, and yeah, it's definitely not ideal. I do feel like there's circumstances where like you can't, like, you know, if you have to live with your in-laws, or your in-laws have to live with you, then it's like, what are you gonna do? Kick them to the curb? Like, you just
Sentence them
can't.
to death.
Yeah, like you can't, bro. You can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in doing so, it makes it harder. Right? It puts a big strain. Like you see, the whole broken and eggshells things, like, you know, someone else's house living by their rules. You're like, oh, bro, honest, I can't do this. Okay, fine, whatever. So
Mm.
get your own house.
Move back with your parents.
No, just on reflection on what you guys are talking about. Like I've stayed with my in-laws and my wife has stayed with us and my family, and I think it's important to recognize like the season you're in because and recognize when you've stayed too long. Because I think there's a season where you're helping each other out and they're realizing, oh man, I think I've overstayed my welcome, and you need to actually get things in order to go out on your own and have, because when you have your own place, there's like it adds more spice or value to your relationship and just having that freedom and like, man, if it wasn't for my in-laws, because we moved back from Aussie and I went into a job that was like half of what I was getting in Oz, but if it wasn't for my in-laws taking us in, man, we would have like struggled and I didn't go to like a high paying job. I went to a job that was we worked at MH and I was only getting like $350 a week, and if it wasn't for the in-laws like supporting us, man, I would have struggled. But then I knew there was a stage where it was like, oh shucks, so we better start getting our own place and I knew once we got to that stage and things happened for us, I was like, oh, it keeps our relationship better with our in-laws and our family. And so
yeah, if you overstayed your welcome too long, then there'd be a bit of friction. And
then you start hearing things through the walls. Like, bro, he's useless. He doesn't. He's still not working.
Whose dishes are these?
They know what you're saying.
Who cooked last?
But the worst is they look at you, whose dishes are these? They're looking at you,
Well, they start serving dinner, they leave your plate. Oh, you're still here. Oh,
man, this is a hard one, man.
How do you determine like when your season is done? You're just saying, you came back from Oz and when they start complaining about the dishes. When you get dishes.
I don't know. Bro, when it's like, tell your husband to buy his own food. I know so never like that.
I've got that.
It's like, why is it anyone buying their own food? But we do buy our own food.
Do you also name your milk in the fridge?
Nah. My mom told me not to do that.
Yeah.
All the main stuff.
Yeah,
So we had our own snacks cupboard.
that is
you're
how
not
it is.
putting food
That is how it is.
There's a mini cupboard.
Do you feel like it? Nah.
Nah.
Too close to you.
Have you overstayed your welcome?
I don't think so. Nah. I don't.
That's what they all say when
If you're from the in-laws of Phoenix, and you say for status welcome.
Mere, tell us.
Come down on the
Tell us.
No, because I'm at MH now, so it's like
It's gone up now.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's equivalent to the same, so I
I
need
feel
that
like we just
support.
paved the way for this.
Oh man.
So I'm looking for a new job. Nah.
The cool thing I found with in-laws is like, because they're obviously so different from you, have different upbringings. They have strengths and ways and places that you don't. So they were to sort of, at least for me, they helped me with some things that I was not good at, which I found was pretty cool. I'm still not good at it, but hey, they tried. They tried their best.
Like what?
Like car stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I'm still not good. But they tried. They tried their best.
That's me. Nah, man, I love my in-laws. They do heaps for my family, so my brownie point's going up.
Nah, cool, man.
I just got the male versus female perspectives
Oh,
on
that's good.
a question. Which gender is it harder for to, I guess, how would you put it, to feel accepted by your in-laws? Right, so is it harder for
As a
males
son
or
to be
females?
accepted. Oh yeah.
Is it harder for males
Gee,
or
how
females
for males,
to,
bro? I
to get
reckon
accepted, to get along with the
the
in-laws?
in-laws. To be accepted by the in-laws, I reckon it's hard.
You mean
for
like the
males.
mother-in-law, father-in-law, or you mean like the whole general?
For you, is it harder for you to meet your partner's in-laws, or is it harder for your missus to meet your in-laws? or just males to females and females to
Oh,
males.
that's
to females.
Bro, males
reckon-
hands down,
I reckon
bro.
this personality,
Case by case kind of thing.
Case by
Oh yeah, yeah.
Personality of the family and
But like average.
But over average,
Average,
I'm pretty sure it's
overall-
overwhelmingly to in favor of
Because I've seen some women be accepted from the family, and then some other partners come in and say, "Oh, she's useless. Why she's here?"
Oh,
You know, I reckon it depends.
would depend
It depends on like, do they know how to do fit hours?
Yeah.
Are they respectful when they come into the
yeah,
home?
yeah,
You know, so it's really
Like preference, eh?
yeah preference.
I just assume that all women know how to do fit hours and cook and clean and all that normal woman stuff now.
Damn! That's the real unspoken here.
There's this
Personal views not held by
I'm
mandate.
joking, bro. I'm joking.
I got some perspectives though. So this guy, he's a male, 26, single father, right? Lives in South Auckland. He said the females in my family always. So it was harder for females to be accepted by males in-laws. Just in his family,
Must be a lot of
because
strong
the
females.
because the females in my family always complain about in-laws, right? So the females in his family always complain about in-laws, and it's easy for me as a male to crack the siblings, but it's the adults that are harder, right? So it's easier for him to get along with the missus siblings, but it was
With
harder
the
for
parents and
but the adults in her family. But that's why he's saying the woman. It's harder for his girlfriend to be accepted into his in-laws because the girls always talk smack about the girls.
Oh, okay.
Because girls, you know, gossiping stuff. The female, 22, soon to be mother. She said it was actually males, so it's kind of reversed. She said it was males harder to get accepted because first introduction it's like a test, right? So all women need to do, whereas all women need to do is serve and be accepted. Harder for females to be themselves to in-laws though. So like
Yeah,
like how I was saying, like as a male, like it was hard for me to kind of like you know, you're just doing the most
Yeah.
to be accepted, you know, and gain those like, you know, acceptance points, like but for a female, or they need to do is serve, you know, like go get into the kitchen after dinners, you know, as long as you're doing the mahi, like the family will appreciate it,
Appreciate it,
accept
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I think it's an islander thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like,
Definitely an island
yeah,
thing.
cultural.
I just thought like with the males going to meet the daughter's dad and the daughter's mum, automatically like you have to prove yourself
Oh,
that you're good enough for the girl.
So you
yeah.
can
So I
provide.
I just thought it'd be harder for him. But so I'm buzzing out that that they were saying the girls as well, just like you. So I was like, man, it must be right. It would just depend on the family, depends on the people.
Because I feel like as fathers, or at least for myself, I would probably be more willing to accept a girl into the family than like I'd be more harder on the guy.
Aurora's
Yeah, I think especially
Your
maybe
daughter, yeah.
because of our own personal journeys, you kind of like, I don't know, maybe just project your own mischievous history onto
Oh,
this guy.
onto
Like,
this
oh, is he
guy.
like
Word.
me? Like, yeah.
he's being this like number one but bro, this guy's mischievous.
But how do you guys think? How do you guys like? Did you guys talk to the dad or to go out with Solly or?
Yeah.
Kaz?
Fortunately, Kaz's
Yeah.
parents both passed away early, so I didn't really have much conversation with them.
Oh.
But her, she was raised with her grandparents, but they were pretty good. Like, I think, in some ways, I probably get along with them more than my own family. So they were pretty quick to accept. I didn't really have to play a role or put on an act or anything like that. I think they were just happy to have me in the family.
That's cool. That's cool. Were you Charles? Did you go to see the dad?
Nah, so
parents?
that's how we came out of the open because
yeah.
Issy's dad had passed away, and like for me to be there for her, she
Sure.
really introduced me to mom.
Damn.
So I could like be there during her grieving.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was quite gutted that I never really, like I knew the dad because we were introduced together, but he
But
never
never
knew
got
me
to,
as
like-
the
As
son-in-law.
the-
Oh yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, so that's a little bit of a
Yeah.
regret, but we're still young at the time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you Phoenix? Did you end up talking to Medi's
This is a little bit exposing, but Midi's father wasn't really in the picture in her life. So it was more of her mum. But I met her mum quite early, and yeah, she really liked me. And then I think it was in our first 4 months. Her 21st was in our first 4 months, and I went to go help set up and everything. And yeah, I knew at that moment speaking at her 21st, saying my speech, and with her mum and dad being there, I knew that was kind of my I was solidified in the family. I knew all the family.
Nice.
They saw me speak and open, and speak of my partner. But yeah, I think that was kind of that conversation.
Cool.
Even though I had met them before, had a few drinks and did a few things with the parents. But yeah, it was all real big. Just because her family is real loving and real inclusive.
That's me.
But opposite for my in-laws though. I think my in-laws have a lot of expectation. There's gated Tongan families. They're you gotta earn your stripes, man. So yeah, but she's finding her feet, and yeah, it's just a reciprocation.
Yeah.
As long as you put in the work, they're gonna put in the work. So.
Yeah.
Cool. It's cool,
Yeah.
man.
Mm.
Wow.
And Brad, so his family still haven't accepted you.
Sorry. No, I hope they have.
Nah,
Bloody hell, better.
Good.
No, yeah. I went and I met her parents. She was pregnant, so it was one of those things. I think at the time. But yeah, it was kind of different, but a little similar to yours, Charles, where I'd come into the family, got to know everyone, and then her dad went off, and he's got another mistress or whatever, and he's started somewhere else. So I've come into the family just as it all went down. So it's kind of weird. I got to know the family without the father or the patriarch of the family being there. So naturally, I became the patriarch of the family. Not even. No, I was just feeling.
He's a high key.
He's a new Don.
So wait until the check-in.
So guys, it was really good life.
He's already a bad guy. He's a good guy.
No, I was feeling
Wow.
Yeah, so it was I've come to know everyone, and sort of everyone's been picking up the pieces while I've been there. So it's been pretty cool, just seeing how close everyone's gotten as a result of it. Yeah, but yeah, going back to the whole thing about in-laws, it is definitely in living by yourselves. At least I've found personally, you definitely grow a lot more because there's no one around you. There's another thing with in-laws is they always like to have their 5 cents. Even if they're just talking in my ear, versus Soli, or if her family will go and Brad is da da da, that sort of thing. It hasn't happened, at least I think, in our relationship, but I've seen it in other people's relationships, and it's pretty bad, eh?
Yeah, I feel you.
It's a bit annoying, eh? I feel bad.
Dictating your relationship.
The way you live,
Stay.
Especially the older generations, eh? Where they're just pretty blunt about it, eh?
Yeah.
And
How you raise your kids and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It could be hard when the individual feels like you're caught in the middle between your family and your partner. And so you're living in this tension. But I think when you're married, man, you got to understand that you've become one with your partner now, and that they become your sort of number one. And for some families, it's hard for them to understand it. But you're gonna have to back each other up, and at some stage your family will understand. So. But I've seen a lot of strife in other relationships because they're caught in the middle, but they always take sides with their family.
Yeah. I've known some people who some guys who actually said, you know what? Oh, sorry, I have to choose my family. Oh, I have to choose my mom. I was like, oh yeah. I was that's how bad it can get, man. It's obviously you talk about you're one now, but because of that family bond, it can because of that family unit, somehow you just can't get away from the family. And I know some guys that, you know, oh, no, sorry, my family's right, my mom's right. After like, I thought, oh man,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just-
interesting.
yeah,
And it's case by case, eh?
Yeah,
Obviously
yeah.
depends on the
Yeah.
family, depends
family,
on the
yeah.
couple.
So yeah,
But that's not to say that like the family don't know what they're talking about or whatever. If they're trying to give you advice, if they see you arguing all the time, whatever, and they say maybe you should try this. That's different from like, man, you need to start doing this. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of attitude.
yeah.
That's detrimental.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if they're just trying to give you advice, don't just brush them off because they're in-laws and like, this is my marriage. Get out of here. I can be.
wow.
That's definitely it. Like, how do you translate the advice? You know, like, well, you're just gonna take advice. Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, rather than okay, like you're taking that idea and then fusing it to create, you know, your own perspective. Rather than just like, oh, thanks, ammunition. But yeah, I feel like there's way more to say about this.
Yeah, there is.
Should this be like part 1? We can.
Yeah.
Let us know if
Touch
you want
base.
another part.
We'll
of
wait for the
this.
backlash.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about
Check out Brownie Points.
Yeah,
Give
that's
him
true.
the dog, you know. Nah. all of these like analogies though, eh? Brownie Points, dog, you know, like
Yeah.
these relationship things. I think we should
Give
break
me
them
hungry.
down as
Yeah,
well.
we
Often
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brownie points is getting me hungry. I was like, oh, yo.
Brownies.
Hungry for
Nah, mean,
Itching.
brothers, mean.
Mean, yeah.
Me.
Hopefully, we still have partners by the time we have Mandate again.
I don't know, but it's enough right now. Nah.
Yeah, good one, brothers.
Hey,
Nice.
So fam, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that Talanoa.
guys, if you like the video, please leave a comment down below. Chuck it a like and even share, bro.
Follow us on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
And as usual, guys,
We're fine.
Unlock, take charge.
Mandate.